storage crate and a hoist for my Jeep Wrangler hardtop. Seen different ways of building the hoists as well as the storage systems for them, and what I want to do is kind of put together something that will take the best of those ideas and put them together. I want something that is going to be able to store my hardtop during the summertime, and then during the winter time I can store the soft top as well as my golf gloves and those type of things in order to be able to use most of the space. All right, so the first step is to build the cradle for the hardtop, and the bill of materials is not that complicated. It's actually fairly simple. What we have is some caster wheels from Home Depot, roughly around $3.50 a piece. A couple of 2x3 material. 2x4 is not needed, but you can certainly make it out of a 2x4, but 2x3s on edge is going to be plenty strong for the task. And then also some 1x3 material that is going to be the slats, if you will, in the cradle. The project is kind of going to look like a wooden pallet, if you will, with wheels. And the whole objective is going to be to set the hardtop on top of the cradle, and then be able to also store different artifacts and different things that are not needed during the winter or the summertime inside of it to maximize the use of the cradle. And at the same time, because it's going to be on wheels, if we need to clean it up or paint it or move it around to do different things with it, do some maintenance, you can always lower it down and move it around the garage in order to be able to get the things that you want done. All right, well, after cutting the 2x3s to 66 inches, the reason for 66 is the top's about 60 inches wide, and I want to have about 3 inches left to put the eye bolt there. Then I mark the location for each one of these slats. I think they're like 6 inches apart, something like that. And next step is going to be to use the router and cut a channel so that the individual 1x3 slats are going to sit recessed, and it's going to be nice and flush, or at least that's the idea. Okay, so the router work has been done. So each member has been notched to fit the 1x3 slats. So the way this is going to look like is we're going to have slats coming from end to end and accommodating the cradle to form the entire cradle. So this members, if you remember, this member right here is 66 inches long. We're leaving 3 inches here to put the eye bolt over here. And when it's all complete, we're going to have something that looks like a big pallet. Now, let me show you what it looks like. At this end, you can see the shape of it, and the plan is to secure those slats, and the top is going to sit in this direction right here, and the eye bolts are going to be in this corners over here. The wheels are going to be underneath. Here's the finished cradle, the bottom part of it anyway, so I still need to put the hooks. It's pretty much set up. One of the things that needed to be done was to make some 2x3 wooden blocks to support the castering wheels. This little tool here is aluminum deburring tool, but it works pretty good for wood. So all my screws end up nice and flush, nothing sticks out. And also added a long stringer that runs from end to end, and the purpose of that is to keep the whole structure always squared. So what you do is you square it up, make sure corner to corner distances are the same, and then you attach that. It's not only screwed in, but it's also attached with wood. The next step is going to be to flip this over and put the hooks, and that should complete the cradle. I'll show that once it's finished. Well, here is the finished product. The cradle is complete and operational. Materials wise, I would say got about $14 or roughly for the castering wheels, couple of dollars for the eye hooks, that's about $16, and roughly $12 worth of lumber. So I would say the total cost of this assembly is around $30, give or take. Not very expensive for the utility that we get. The cradle now it's on its wheels, so I can move it over the garage, or if I had a bigger shop. So, and at the same time, what we have is the ability to store things underneath, sleeping bags, surfboards, camping equipment, whatever you have that you want to utilize that space for, it can be done. Obviously, when the hardtop is in place, the soft top is going to be on the cradle. And if you would take your doors off or whatever, you can also put them there if you wanted to. So there's multi-purpose assembly. The next step is going to be to make a couple of 2x4s that are going to run sideways this way. The distance between the eye hooks is 45.5 inches. So the two 2x4s are going to be attached to the ceiling, and I'm going to have a hoist made with a couple of pulleys to help me lift the top up to the top, and then two straps are going to hold the assembly together. And then the hoist can be removed to be used for other purposes. Overall, when you take into consideration the cost of the other 2x4s and some lag screws and some lag bolts I'm going to use, I would say we're going to have an additional $25, maybe $30. I know the pulleys were like $5 a piece, and the rope was an additional $12 out of Amazon. So I guess the complete project is going to be around, I would say around $60 by the time it's all said and finished. Well, there's the top on top of the cradle, suspended from the ceiling. One end of the rope's attached to the D-ring in my rear bumper. I'm just kind of figuring out right now where the attaching points with the ceiling are going to be. So what I did is I put a plate for the attaching point for the pulley, as well as the 2x4s. The two sticks on the right hand side are just jigs I used to make sure that the separation of the top two rails match the top two rails down at the bottom. So right now the plan is to draw plumb lines from the top to the bottom, see where the screw eyes meet, and attach them. So the plan would be to hoist the top, bring it to the top, tie it up, and then use a different set of straps or a different set of ratchets to attach it to the ceiling and let it be there, and then just take the pulley off and use it for other purposes. One thing that I thought about was to actually swing the top and basically store the top at a different angle in the garage. That way it wouldn't interfere with my light. It's a little late for that, but it could certainly be done. You know, as you can see, the plan for this type of system is not to actually back the Jeep even into the garage, because you can literally take it off anywhere you want to, put it on the cradle, bring the cradle to input the position and hoist it up. So the Jeep doesn't have to be backed into the garage at all. Well, just completed raising the top all the way to the top. You can see the two pulleys are together, so it's all the way to the stops. The next step is going to be to climb up and just attach the ratchets, and that should complete the installation. So let's see what that looks like when it's finished. Well, here is the finished product. The cradle is in position. The hardtop is sitting on top of the cradle. Everything is perfectly level. I ended up using 4 straps. The strap length can be left alone, and just reattach it every time you take it up and down, so there's no need to re-level. One of the things I like about this, you can see I already using the space to store my golf clubs. Let's go around it a little bit. And you can see I got my fertilizer spreader, and I also have a moving blanket and some cardboard. So you can make additional use and utility of the space. So obviously those things are not sitting in my garage anymore, in the floor anyways. They're sitting in a place where they're not gonna get in the way of other things. Post-mortem of this thing, I really liked the fact that the crate or the cradle can be moved around. I found that very useful as I was setting things up. Definitely that's going to be a big plus. I need to clean it, so I'm gonna take it outside and power wash it, so it's gonna be pretty easy to do. And also, one of the nice features about this is that you don't really depend on the Jeep to position and move things around. You can pretty much separate the topper from the Jeep and then just place it anywhere in the shop where you want to. So if you don't have a space, or it could be placed in a different spot, you can certainly utilize that space better. So that's another feature of it. I hope you get some good ideas out of this thing. I thought about an electric winch, but 25 pounds of force, 30 pounds of force to lift it is really not a big deal. I don't see the point of using an electric winch unless you can't pull things up. And I guess if push comes to shove, I could always use the winch in my Jeep anyways if I really wanted to force things up a little bit. Hope you enjoyed the project. Hope you got some good ideas. Good luck, and happy trails.